Hey, we are live. Good evening, y'all. Afternoon. Give about a minute for people to chime in. We'll start talking about our subject here in a minute. Hey, Zach. Today's subject is the continued failures of FEMA in Western North Carolina. So let's start by recapping what Hurricane Helene did to Western North Carolina. When it curved, see, it went up from Florida, it went up through Georgia, and then it was projected to curve left, and it curved right. And when it curved right, it got over Asheville, and it sat there and it dumped rain for like 48 hours at a rate of like 12 or 14 inches an hour. That's a lot of rain. They said, well, it wasn't 12 inches an hour. They said in 48 hours, they got 24 inches of rain. That's a hell of a lot of rain. And there's a lake, was a lake called Lake Lure that was above the river at Chimney Rock, North Carolina. And the water, they got so much water that it overtopped the dam, and the dam gave way and sent a 25-foot tall wall of water down the river through the town of Chimney Rock. Yeah. Yeah, they got like 24 inches of rain in 48 hours. And when that went through Chimney Rock, it wiped out 3/4 of the town. There's videos on YouTube of the road going into Chimney Rock. If you go to Gentry and Sons on YouTube, he did, he drove from his home in Tennessee down there to, help out. And he showed where the water just washed entire sections of road away. And where there was a 2-lane blacktop, you had a foot wide, about this wide section that snaked back and forth down the road. The rest was all gone. There's another YouTuber, I don't know his name. I would give him credit because he did a good job. I would call him like a walking journalist. He walked up into the town of Chimney Rock, and he talked to this lady that her house was 200 yards away from the river. Her house is still standing. Her house is one of the few houses that's still standing. And she took him inside, and he said, well, how is it that your house is still standing? And she showed him where the water inside of the house had been 10 foot tall, had watermark 10 foot high on the ceiling. And it blew out the French doors, and that's what saved her house, because the water did not stay in the house. The water went out through the French doors. And she took him and she said, now be careful. And outside of her French doors, it dropped down like 15 or 20 feet. And he said, well, how did you get down to your yard? She said, no, 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 no. I had grass right outside this door all the way to the river, and pointed 200 yards away to the river. And when the water came through, it washed away 15 to 20 feet. And it's just shocking when you see that. Yeah, that was a interesting interview, wasn't it? And there's two 6-foot wide boulders, one about 10 foot out and one about 20 foot out. And he asked her, you know, were those boulders in your yard? She said, no, no, I had no rocks of any kind in my yard. I do not know where them boulders came from. So then we'll fast forward a little bit and we'll talk about FEMA. Okay, FEMA is supposed to respond. FEMA was calling people, and like this one lady lived down this road, and they'd put up a road closed sign, but she was before the part where the road closed. And the FEMA person called her and told her, well, we can't get down your street. And she said, well, just go around the road closed sign because I am before where the road ends. And they said, no, we're not allowed to do that. If we come encounter a road closed sign, we're supposed to turn around and leave. I hope that you get the help that you need. And they left. And then now this week, I saw on Gentry and Sons, see, you know, Tim Gentry, he's been doing miraculous things. You know, he owns a trucking company in Tennessee. And when he heard that those people didn't have anything, he took and he drove a semi truck and trailer, and he bought generators and supplies, and he drove them there and he gave them away. And when he got there, he said, well, I have to come back. He said, I've got skid steers and I've got different construction equipment that we could come in here and we could make a road. And he was the one, him and a bunch of volunteers were the ones that were making the road so that people could get up the mountain to their houses. And and Tim talked to a local politician, and FEMA and Pete Buttigieg was calling him and telling him that if he continued to help the local people, that they would put him in jail. And that politician told him, he said, you know what you can do with that? He said, these are my people. I'm going to help my people, and you need to get the hell out of my way. So this week, what I started to say, they're just now staging temporary housing. This week, a month after, that stuff is all supposed to be pre-staged in areas 2 to 3 hours away from the storm, so that they can just grab the stuff and have it in there within hours after the storm. And they're just doing that this week. That's incredibly disgraceful to me. And then there was a lady that got fired for telling the truth. She worked for FEMA, and she said that starting in Florida, they were told that if they were walking up to help someone, if they had a Trump sign in their yard, that they were to turn around and leave. She told that. She told that. How disgraceful is that, that FEMA is telling their employees that, you know, if they have a Trump sign in their yard, you don't help them. To me, that's awful. Um, I can't think of her name, but she's been on some YouTube channels talking about how that it's commonplace within FEMA that if the person has a political sign, she said a Trump sign in their yard, that we are not to walk up to the door. Yeah, it was one leader, but she got fired, and she gave an interview this last week, and she said that it is policy within FEMA that if they have a Trump sign in their yard, that they are not to approach the house. Which is disgraceful. You know, these people, and it's like, okay, in back to North Carolina, okay, Kamala Harris said, we will give them $750. And the one guy, when he heard that, he said, is she out of her damn mind? He said, these people lost their house, their cars, everything, and you're offering them $750 when they've lost everything. Yeah, I don't know what the reason is. She, it's, I can bet you I know what the reason is. The Democrats have told them that Trump supporters are violent and angry, which is not the truth. I would bet money that's what they were told. It's, yeah. Well, that's why they're supposed to have a badge that says their name and says FEMA on it. And they call ahead of time to make an appointment. So it's not like they're just walking up there cold and knocking on the door saying, hey, I'm from FEMA. And something else that was disturbing in North Carolina, and this comes from David Axelrod, which he's an Obama advisor, and I've never liked him. And he had a map in front of him. He was being interviewed, and he said, okay, he said, Asheville, North Carolina is a dot of blue and a sea of red. So that explains why they're not getting help. No, that's another thing, you know. Um, Pete Buttigieg in North Carolina, um, there was this guy that has a package delivery service. He uses drones to deliver packages to people up in the mountains. And he was putting supplies on the drones instead of packages and putting them in people's driveways so that they could walk out of the driveway and have water or whatever supplies they needed. Pete Buttigieg called him and told him, if you continue, we'll put you in jail because you have to have their name, their address, their phone number, because we have to be able to call them back. And the guy told him, he said, right now there's no cell service up there. There's no addresses. It all got washed away. And Pete Buttigieg told him, well, if you continue, we'll put you in jail. And he said, then try and come get me because these people need help and we're the only ones here helping them. FEMA is not here and we're their only lifeline. When you watch some of Tim Gentry's videos, no, it's not tainted food. They have no food, no water, no cell service. He was taking them cases of water and, dry good type of foods that wouldn't be tainted. And he was taking it with a with a drone up there, and they told him he had to stop. Let me get a drink of water, tea. Yeah, they told him he had to stop. Not all food can be tainted. If it's dry goods like crackers and, mac and cheese that can sit on a shelf for months. It's shelf goods, I would call it. It's not refrigerated food because they have no electric. They don't have mailboxes because the water washed away their mailboxes. That's why this guy is dropping the supplies. And he got the help of, you know who Cletus McFarland is? Cletus McFarland is a race car driver. He drives NASCAR trucks. And he started a relief drop zone kind of service because he lives in Florida, and he takes a helicopter and they have a sling under the helicopter and they drop pallets of supplies like dried baby formula and pallets of water and diapers and yeah, but this is not. Cletus does a good job. He doesn't take tainted food in anywhere. That's what I'm trying to explain. And yes, you can. When you have nothing and all of your food is gone and the grocery store is washed away, your car is washed away, somebody has to help. Risk is involved. Well, just think about it this way. If your entire house was washed away and you had and your car, yeah, you're playing devil's advocate. But the people in Appalachia don't think like that. Hey, Americanana, no problem. We're talking about the failures of FEMA. You know, I was telling Zach just this week, they started staging temporary housing for the people in North Carolina. Just this week. The storm happened a month ago. And I was telling Zach about this one interview of this lady in Chimney Rock, North Carolina, that her house was still standing. Her house was 200 yards away from the river. And see, what happened was the good. And, you know, FEMA just has failed the people in Appalachia. That's my view. FEMA has failed the people in Appalachia because Chimney Rock, North Carolina, the water overtopped the dam at Lake Lure. The dam gave way and sent a 25-foot wall of water down the river and basically washed away 3/4 of the town. And there's a guy named Tim Gentry. He owns Gentry and Sons Transportation. He's been paying for generators and stuff and taking it in and helping out and giving stuff away. And, you know, I was telling Zach about the about Cletus McFarland and him taking pallets of food and pallets of water, and that there was this guy with a drone package delivery service would put the stuff on the package drone and take it up into the mountains, and that Pete Buttigieg called him and told him if he continued that he would be arrested because he had to have their name, their address, and their phone number so they could call them back and make sure they got the supplies. And he told him, he said, you're not going to be able to call him back because there's no cell service. He said, these people have lost everything and we are the only ones here helping them. And it's just tragic. You know, I was telling Zach, FEMA is supposed to pre-stage housing and food and supplies in an area 2 to 3 hours away, and then supposed to go in and give it away to anyone. Well, there was a lady this last week that gave an interview that she got fired because she told the truth. She said that they were told that if they're walking up to a house and it has a Trump sign, to not go up to the house, to turn and walk away. Um, Yeah, but if the dam was opened, I don't understand how the water overtopped the dam and the dam gave way, because they showed pictures of the dam being gone. Right. What it's See, Zach, their lack of response is an abject failure. And it's not, they are taking money. They got caught taking money from FEMA. They took $100 million out of FEMA's budget, and they paid for illegal aliens hotel rooms in New York City. They're not supposed to do that. There needs to be an investigation in, you know, yeah, they want to rid the nation of Trump supporters. That's the way I look at it. Their deliberate failure was to get rid of American citizens and replace them with illegal aliens, and it's not going to work. Whoever came up with that grand scheme needs to be put in jail. And right, Matt, you know, I listen to these people talk about Matt Gaetz and him not being qualified. And I said, have you lost your fucking mind? He's the person that drilled down on uh, Merrick Garland and blistering questions. And it's like, you know, I was thinking that Trump would pick someone like Pam Bondi or Ashley Moody, someone who had been a AG before for a state. When he picked Matt Gaetz, it kind of caught me off guard. But then I said, he's the perfect person. And then he picked, yeah, they don't have a mind to lose is right. You know, we're at a point in time in our country where the divisiveness has been so bad that, yeah, he likes to dig like a dog. Yep. When he gets his mind on something, he doesn't let go. Like them saying that Pete Hegseth is not qualified to be Secretary of Defense. Pete Hegseth was a major in the Army. He fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. He just wrote a book, like within the last couple of months, on how China is eating our lunch in the Asian Pacific, and what we need to do to catch up to them and defeat them. That tells me he's the right person for that job. And, you know, they're digging up dirt on all of these people. You know, the the dirt that they're digging up on Matt Gaetz is laughable. 3 years ago, yeah, I think it's 3 years ago. It was like 2021 or 2022. Um, his law partner got caught up in a sex trafficking ring because the law partner liked underage girls. They tried to say that it was Matt Gaetz, and it got totally debunked. Red heart in the lower right hand corner of your screen blocks the view of the text. I don't know how to fix that. Um, right. And something that I think that's going to be happening in 2028, I think it's going to be J.D. Vance and Tulsi Gabbard run together. Because I originally thought it was going to be JD and Vivek, because JD and Vivek are best friends. But then with this Department of Government Efficiency, Vivek has been just going off the wall saying things that he's going to cut, like he's going to cut veterans programs. And so I sent him a message on X. I said, it took 2 years for me to get a good VA system here in Montana. Leave the VA alone. And then another thing that got posted on X, which some of this stuff, I don't know, said that if your social security number ends in an odd number, you're going to get cut like 50%. And if it's an even number, you're going to get cut 25%. That's just crazy. You know, I care about the people of North Carolina because my sister lives in North Carolina. She lives in eastern North Carolina by Goldsboro. Yeah. No, it's not misinformation, Zach. It was Vivek saying that. There's a video clip on X of Vivek saying if your social security number ends in an odd number, it's getting cut 50%. And if it ends in an even number, it's getting cut 25%. That's all BS. You know, they need to leave Social Security alone. I give a lot of credit to Gentry and Sons. He has a YouTube channel, and he shows what happened to no, it's not misinformation. When see, it's misinformation if they took his statement and chopped it and diced it and redid the statement, but it's his statement on X, him at a speech, a recent speech, saying that that's how they were going to fix Social Security. You want to call it misinformation. Well, let me see if I can find the video clip, and I'll play you the video clip. I have to look under. I can't find it now. I just saw it yesterday. Sapphire. Let me use the word I want to use. I just wanted to read you that one statement from him, but the statement is now not there. So we'll move on. Yeah, you're silly today. You're usually very sarcastic, Zach. chillax. Zany, yeah. But I care about the people there. You know, when I drove a truck, Chimney Rock was one of my favorite places to go because I could drop my trailer in Asheville and run up there and view the scenery and come back down and keep going. You know, and my sister lives in eastern North Carolina. She lives by my niece, which we won't talk about because I can't stand her, but that's neither here nor there. That's a long story all by itself. We all have people in our lives that do you wrong. And my view is when somebody does me wrong, cut the cord. Don't have nothing to do with them. If they show up at a family function, say hi, bye, and leave it alone. But that's just me. It's harsh. Well, yeah, Chimney Rock is gorgeous. But Chimney Rock is going to be completely changed because that 25-foot wall of water went down through there and wiped out roads, wiped out houses, wiped out towns. So that whole area is going to change. And Tim Gentry said it will probably take 10 years for them to recover. 10 years. He said because you have towns that are up in the mountain that have one way in and one way out, and both roads are washed away. So they have no way to get up in there. And he takes and he shows, you know, he's driving along the one side of the river and you see a house and a car on the other side of the river, and the bridge to get to that house has been washed away. Yeah, they are. They're still finding bodies, and you know, they said some bodies they'll never find the whole body because they're finding pieces of intestine and this and that. That has to be really tough work. You know, I could not do search and rescue because no, they have not. FEMA has to be, this is my opinion, FEMA needs to be completely dismantled and rebuilt. Whoever the FEMA chief is next, he needs to go in and clean house and basically fire everybody and rehire. And the mission of FEMA, yeah, in trees, on rocks, yeah, I've seen the videos. It's just heartbreaking. You know, some of Tim Gentry's videos are very compelling. You know, people tried to say, oh no, nothing bad happened up there. And it's like, it's on video. No, it's not a reason to keep people out. You have to go in there and clean that stuff up. They can't leave body parts laying alongside the river or bodies laying alongside the river. They have to clean it up. It has to be cleaned up. And when they find it, they have to mark it. One of my friends used to do search and rescue in Southern Illinois, and they have flags. And whenever they see a body or a body part, they have to put a flag there so that when the cleanup crew, right, it, it's not in a city, it's like up in the mountains. You know, Chimney Rock is basically up on top of a mountain. No, it's not a reason to turn volunteers away. The reasons that were given were retarded reasons, in my view. Told them they couldn't go up there and deliver the supplies because the person they were delivering to had to be able to call them back. They had to collect their name, their address, and their cell phone number before they delivered it. When there's no cell phone service, their house got washed away, so there's no address. These people are living in, barns and, stuff like that. It's just heartbreaking and sad. And the volunteers, it's their job to go and provide help, to tell them, we're bringing in temporary housing. Do you want to apply for temporary housing? Dead bodies were not in the Houses Act. That's what we're trying to tell you. The dead bodies were outside, like in a creek bank, in a river bank, because the people got washed out of their houses and their houses are gone. Their houses are literally gone. And it's not in a city or a town, it's up in a mountain. It's on a mountainside. Yeah, their cars and trucks are gone. Um, showed Tim Gentry just does a wonderful job of when he goes up into the mountains of showing, basically everything. The devastation, where the road was, where the road is now, well, it's not where it is now. The asphalt buckled and got washed into the river. I did several videos on this subject, and I felt that it deserved a whole hour, even if we talk more than an hour, to get the word out there that these people still need help. I can't imagine my entire house being washed away and the government offering me 750 fucking dollars. Yeah. It's like, there's this lady, I was talking to Zach earlier. There's this lady in Chimney Rock that her house is on 200 yards away from the river, and her house is still standing. How it's still standing is a miracle, because she took this guy in that I'm calling a walking reporter, and she showed him the watermark inside of her house is 10 foot up. 10 foot. She has 12-foot ceilings. The watermark goes up 10 foot. What saved her house, and this is just my thoughts, is that she said that the French doors blew out. So then she took the guy over to show him the French doors, and she said, now be careful. And you look out the front where the French doors were, and it drops down 15 to 20 feet straight down. And so he asked her, well, how do you get down to your yard? She said, no, 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 no. I had grass from outside of the French door all the way to the river. That water, when it came through, swept away 15 to 20 foot deep of dirt. And she said she wants to stay there. She wants to rebuild. Bravo to her. Yeah. They're trying to steal the land. That's my view. You know, people want to rebuild. They want to stay there. And you're going to tell them, no, here's $2,000. Well, you know, I'd be telling them where to shove that. And there was a lady, I don't know what podcast I watched last night that I caught a little bit of her interview, that she's one of the few in FEMA housing in North Carolina. Right. You know, when it's like with me living here, I've lived here a year and a half. I don't want to live anywhere else. I love this place. Yeah, it gets cold in the wintertime, but spring, summer, and fall is gorgeous. I have gorgeous mountains around me, beautiful scenery. Why would I want to live anywhere else? And I got a car now, so I can drive around. Right. That's what that one guy told Kamala. But she said, well, you know, we'll give them $750. And he snapped. He said, these people have lost their house, their cars, everything they own, all of their, you know, documents, and you're going to give them 750 fucking dollars. She said, well, it's better than nothing at all. No, it's not, because it's like Tim Gentry said, most of them houses up there, you know, had big screen TVs on the wall. He said a big screen TV, you know, is $1,000, and you're going to give them $750. That's, to me, that's just beyond disgraceful to treat people like that. And yeah, Kamala blew $1 billion in 3 months, and her campaign is $20 million in debt. 20 million. Donald Trump, this is what I love about Trump. I know there's strings here. You know what I mean? He told her, I'll pay off your 20 million. So, you know, there was some strings, because you have not heard nothing from her since election day. She's not done no interviews. She's got nothing. It's like silence is deafening, you know? Yeah. See, American Nana, my two brothers went to college in Williamsburg, Kentucky. So that's where I got introduced to the people. Right. You know, I got introduced to the people of Appalachia when my brothers went to college in Williamsburg, right on the Tennessee-Kentucky border, right across the road from Jericho, Jellicoe, I think it is, Tennessee. Here's something interesting, okay? Trump met with Biden last Wednesday, and Biden was all smiles, congratulated him on his win, told him that, you know, he would make sure that there was a peaceful transfer of power. Sean Spicer said, he said, how much money would you bet that that tells you that Joe and Jill voted for Trump? I didn't I didn't look at it that way until Sean said that. Oh, cool. Yeah. I've been down through there. When I moved from Illinois to Valdosta, Georgia, I went to Paintville, Kentucky, that area. Yeah, because it's just something that I suspected might happen because 2 weeks before the election, Biden was at a uh, campaign event for Kamala, and somebody handed him a MAGA hat, and he smiled and put it on. That told me, hey, he's not voting for Kamala. You know, if he would smile and put on Trump's hat, Trump's MAGA hat, right? And you know, as far as who goes in Trump's cabinet, this is just my opinion. Yeah, yeah, that was another thing. And you know, our current president, this is just so sad. They were walking on a beach. They were walking on a beach in Delaware, and he was stumbling around, almost falling. She made no attempts to help him. Zero. She looked down at the ground and let him stumble around. That's just so sad. It's pretty bad when Hunter said that she's an evil bitch and a manipulative C word. That was Hunter that said that. They have the text messages that Hunter said that Jill was a manipulative bitch and an evil bitch and a manipulative, and he used the C word. That was at his trial in Los Angeles. I think it was Los Angeles. But it's just so sad. It's very telling when Hunter says something like that about his stepmom. To me, that's very telling. Yeah, he's right. It's very telling because it just, to me, it shows, it reeks of corruption. Their whole administration is corrupt. And Jamie Comer said that they found that China paid the Bidens $20 million. He said, but what's more interesting is the mayor of Moscow's wife wired $3.5 million to Hunter. He said, why is the mayor of Moscow's wife mailing the president's son $3.5 million when there's no proof of any kind of business or anything in Moscow? That's, to me, that's very telling. Yeah, Hunter is a good boy. Yeah, Hunter got in a lot of trouble. Hunter got in a lot of trouble. So back to the FEMA stuff. Okay, so it's not only failures in North Carolina, it's failures in Florida. Yeah, the diamonds. Yes, ma'am. Florida. My friend JR lives in Florida, and he has told me how devastating Hurricane Milton was to Tampa and the surrounding area. You know, and the fact that FEMA was again in Florida telling people, well, if they have a Trump sign in their yard, don't go to that house. To me, that's just crazy. You're there to provide help to anyone that needs it. That's your mandate. That's your job. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that whole thing. Oh, excuse me. It's just very peculiar. And it goes to show that Biden has said through aides that he hates Kamala. He can't stand her. And the reason he resigned was they basically pulled a coup maneuver. There are numerous reports that Obama and Pelosi and Schumer went to Joey and said, you either resign from the campaign and let Kamala win, or we are going to call her and tell her to pull the 25th Amendment on you and remove you from office. And Pelosi apparently told him, if you don't step down now, you won't get a presidential library because I'll make sure it doesn't happen. And that goes back to something that Nancy Pelosi's granddaughter said about her. She said that my grandma, and Pelosi, is the only person I know that can slit your throat with a smile and make you smile about it until you leave and realize what happened. That's pretty scary, don't you think? She's so likable. Not really. I can't stand her. See, it's pretty bad when you have a known Democrat. His name is Dan. I can't think of his last name. He's on Mark Halperin's show, Two Way. He said that what happened this time with Kamala is the same thing that happened in 2019. He said she's too reserved. She doesn't want to let anybody know what she's really thinking. And he said because of that, she doesn't want to make decisions. Well, when he said that, I thought, and she has no business being president, because presidents have to make split decisions. They have to make decisions sometimes in 60 to 90 seconds. And, you know, one of the things I like about Trump, and Tulsi Gabbard talks about, she said, he can be in a meeting with 14 people and point at each person and ask them a question and then point at the next person and ask a different question. I think if she had become POTUS, that would be the end of our country, because she's a Marxist, which means she's a communist. And her dad is a Marxist economics professor. Her mom, you know, was one of the ones that started the MK Ultra party in India, which is the Communist Party. Hey, JR, we were just talking about you, all good stuff. I was talking about how FEMA has failed this country, how that they have not only failed the citizens of North Carolina, but the citizens of Florida too. You know, there's a guy I follow on YouTube, Tim Gentry. He owns Gentry and Sons Trucking, and he is the one that was taking supplies into North Carolina and into Florida. And he talks about the failures of FEMA, how that they're just now staging temporary housing. That was supposed to be done a month ago. You stage the temporary housing before the storm hits in a safe area, you know, like 2 to 3 hours away. Thank you, JR. And they didn't do that. They're just now staging it, and it's too late. And Tim Gentry talked about going to Florida after Milton and describing the devastation there. And he said FEMA is nowhere around. And then we had the lady from FEMA this last week that got fired that said that they were told if you go to walk up to a house and they have a Trump sign in the yard, don't go to that house. Turn around and leave. No, you don't have to do that. I watch the chat. I look for people that put my name up. And I encourage you guys to go look up Gentry and Sons. His business is he delivers boats. I mean, big yachts and stuff to Florida and to the East Coast and stuff. And when Helene hit and he heard that people had nothing and nobody to help them, he loaded up semi-trailers full of supplies, and he went and got generators, and he took them down there to North Carolina and he gave them away. You know, that I just think, you know, that because he did that on his own, that deserves him a follow. And he's got this nice Peterbilt truck. As a former truck driver, I'm fond of Peterbilts. You got a Peterbilt with a 15-liter cat that'll roll down the road. That'll roll down the road. Yeah, but see, Zach, it doesn't have to be highlighted for me to recognize somebody talk about me, because I watch the chat, and if someone puts up my name, yeah. FEMA's job is Federal Emergency Management Administration. Mayorkas, which is the DHS director, that's great, Americanana. Yeah, I watched the comments. You know, FEMA's job is to help people in times of emergency disasters. What Mayorkas did, Mayorkas took, I think it's, now they're saying it's like $200 million out of their budget. And he was paying for hotel rooms and food for illegal immigrants in New York City. And that's not their job. That is not their job to help illegal immigrants. Well, we've been at this for an hour and 15 minutes. Mean like that, Zach? That's on my end. When somebody makes a comment that I want to talk about, I just tap the comment and it shows up highlighted. You've lost me, Zach. I don't know what you're talking about. You're welcome. We're going to get off here. You know, we'll have another topic tomorrow. I will work on a topic for tomorrow's live, and yes, people in the comment section can highlight names. You type at and their screen name, and it will highlight it in the comment. Right. All right, JR. See you in a few minutes. We're going to bring this ship into harbor safely. Talk to y'all soon. Take care. Bye.